Hello, my 21-year-old Sonoma Staters. It is that time where we go from fall to spring. All right. So I had a Canva come to Jesus moment a couple years ago in class. Okay. And now I teach a lot of Canva, but before that, it was more Photoshop and Illustrator. So I'm going to tell you my my come to Canva and Adobe Express story. But before I tell you that story, I got to tell you what I've been doing the past 20 years. So you want to know what I think, man? First of all, to understand what happened to Dr. Horowitz, you got to understand who Dr. Horowitz was. All right. I was a grad student at Florida State for 4 years, doing boring academic research. All right. And when I got out of Florida State, I got a job here at Sonoma State in 2007, and I wanted to learn Photoshop. So I was teaching the 4 P's of marketing in class, right? But can you really promote an event without some kind of flyer or promotion material? Can you list a product without like a product mock-up or a picture of the product and some information about it? Can you price something or promote a price discount without kind of giving people the price and enticing them to act now? Or can you get your products distributed quick and promote free shipping, fast shipping, and distribute your products? I don't really think so. And I wanted to learn what was happening in Graphic River, FreePic, and Adobe Stock. So I thought there was all these cool templates, these marketing materials. You could go to a site like Graphic River, go to print, go to flyers, and then come down and see all these glossy, cool looking flyers. And so I thought these were super cool, and it wasn't that difficult to customize them with Photoshop and Illustrator. So here's FreePic, right? I just searched for flyer, and you see these kind of glossy, shiny promotional flyers. And even at Adobe Stock, search for flyers, you can see these kind of promotional flyers that I wanted to edit. All right. So what did I do to learn Photoshop in 2007? I got DVDs, right? And it was kind of slow. But eventually I found Deke McClellan. So here, LinkedIn Learning, search Deke one-on-one. And you can see, right, I was able to get into Photoshop for 12 hours and 43 minutes for fundamentals. Then it went to intermediate, then advanced, then mastery for 12 more hours, 16 more hours, right? I was able to binge learn Photoshop with Deke McClellan. So I think Deke is like the LeBron James of Photoshop tutorials, the king. All right. So question of the day, what I want to know is, who is your Deke McClellan and what is your Photoshop? So what have you binge learned and how did you learn it? With what kind of teacher, influencer, platform, app? So let me know what you're binge learning, what you have been learned in the past. And if it's not Photoshop, that's fine. But I really like Deke McClellan. Chris Orwig was great too. So I watched the Deke one-on-one series for every new version of Photoshop for like 5 years. And I got good at Photoshop. And then Canva came out. The students started liking Canva a lot. And I'm like, hey, these posters, these flyers, they're kind of cool, but I kind of like my Photoshop flyers a little better, a little more photorealistic, a little more glossy, a little more texture, a little more depth, a little more interest. So these are cool, right? There's nothing wrong with these flyers. They get the job done. But I kind of liked Photoshop better. And so Adobe Express, same thing. They got their flyers. And, I was a little, I'm like, they're nice. But I just kind of assumed every 21-year-old knew Canva and knew Adobe Express. So I guess it's kind of like I thought Photoshop was like the saxophone and Canva was like the recorder. It was just kind of simple, right? I know it's there. It's cool. It's fun to learn. But, I wanted to be like Charlie Parker or John Coltrane or Kenny G or the guy from Dave Matthews Band or the guy from SNL, not the recorder player. Okay, so here's the moment. So there I was in class teaching cinemagraphs. Check out the middle, right? Looping seamless animated GIFs and doing puppet warp with students, frame animations in Photoshop. And then one day I got to Canva in class and I had 21-year-olds who'd never used Canva, marketing graduating seniors who didn't know Canva. So that was my come to Canva moment in Adobe Express. So I've made 59 videos now. I've taught a few classes with Canva and Adobe Express as the focus, and I'm going to keep doing it. All right, I hope you liked that introduction. It took me like 5 takes to do. So I got way too many tabs open. We're going to get back to Canva now and use ChatGPT to create a Pixar style image, add some stylish text, and color match the text to our logo. So I am going to X all these tabs. And I am going to go to the ChatGPT Sonoma State tile or button on the home page. You could use Nano Banana, you could use whatever Apple Genmoji, your Copilot, your Adobe Firefly, but it's kind of nice, ChatGPT, at doing this. So let's just drag the photo of myself in and tell it that we want to create an image. And I kind of like prompt to make Pixar style image. So when you kind of ask ChatGPT, what should my prompt look like? Sometimes it gives you some feedback of here would be a good prompt. But it doesn't in this case, so we'll just roll with the ChatGPT slot machine and see what it's... All right. Well, that was pretty good, but not exactly what I wanted. So I'm going to do make professor zoom out to a standing up shot of the professor giving a thumbs up and smiling with mouth open. All right, looks pretty good. A little slow. No wonder why Nano Banana is so popular. But did we get feet? No feet. But I'm happy with this waist up shot. So I'm going to take it, download it. And bring it in to Adobe Express. So to create your first Canva file, you want to be careful not to jump right into like the sheet doc whiteboard presentation. So you really want to create an image, and the best way is just to come to the plus button to create, scroll down to the very bottom and do custom size, and then just type in 1920 by 1080. So I already have it here, but you could use a different resolution or aspect ratio. But I'm going to go to the HD 1920 by 1080, click on the background to get rid of that pop-up, Command plus to zoom in, and maybe drag it down a hair so that I can see the whole artboard canvas, and bring in my ChatGPT image. I want to remove the background. And I'm going to option drag a corner, slide it to the right. And next we want some text, and we want to match that to our logo from Google Images. So I got to go to Google Images and do Sonoma State logo. And this one's fine. Let's try this one. But you could pick any color to match. And you can use any image. You don't have to use a person. It could be a dog. It could be anything else for Pixar. All right, so drag it in. And so I'm going to click over here, go to Edit, go to Background Remover. And it looks like it did a good job, but sometimes the one problem with Canva is it's kind of hard to work with transparency. You can't change the background to checkerboard. So hopefully that worked and didn't get rid of any of the face. We'll find out soon here. But all right, so I'm going to option drag to make it a lot smaller. And then I'm going to go to the Canva apps. And if you go all the way to the right, so the very last on the bottom left slider, navigation menu, and go all the way to the right with the arrow, and the second to last is text styling. And I think the best here is Text Studio. So you could just search Text Studio, but if you don't want to type, you could go like that. And you can use any you want. I'm going to use this yes one. And I've already got it typed in, Spring 2026, #1, all caps. I want like a college looking font, so I'm going to type in college, enter. And I think it's a little bit college black, FLF regular is what I used, and then add to design. And get rid of the app window. All right, so looking pretty good. You could, if you wanted to come to color here and then match it to like one of your pre-lifted colors from your logo. That's 9 out of 10 good, but let's be a little picky. I can leave it for now. So what I want to do is come to edit and then scroll down a little and do this duotone and custom, the first one. And the highlights, I'm going to kind of go inverse and make the highlights a dark color with the eyedropper tool and make sure my eyedropper gets nice and a dark blue. And then I'm going to make the shadows white. So I could eyedropper it from the logo just to get in the habit of doing that. It's a good habit. It's kind of hard to see though, right? Because there is no white because it's covered up. All right, so I'll just go to the upper right corner. Then with hit escape, drag up left. Sorry, kind of confusing. And looks pretty good. I could go out of duotone and go into the adjust image settings. So edit the image, adjust. And here's where you get some of the sliders you can make it brighter or darker. I'm going to add a little bit of brightness. I kind of want to increase that contrast. Highlights. I want there to be some like white. Looking pretty good. So I think at the end what kind of helped too is to add some sharpness to kind of get a little more detail. All right, maybe some clarity, mid-tone contrast. So play with the sliders. These are common, Lightroom. And so I think that looks pretty good. We just need that gray radial background. Gray radial gradient background. Okay, so under Elements, scroll down to Photos, see all. Search for gray radial gradient or starburst or rainbow, whatever you want. And this one is fine for me. So I'm going to drag it, then try to get it to snap on the outer edge and let go. Then we want to send it to the back. So I'm going to get rid of the photos. And a couple ways to do this, you can click on it and go to this contextual taskbar and then do layer and send backward or send to back, which is Command Option left bracket. So Command Option left bracket sends it to the back. And then we can put our finishing touches. Oh, and you can see that the logo did get destroyed with the remove background. So maybe we can come back and fix that up. But I want to target my text and give it a YouTube outline, the obnoxious outline in a solid color that every YouTuber seems to be adding to their files, something kind of extra thick. All right. Looking at this image, I want to brighten it up. It looks kind of, I don't know, a little too dark. So I'm going to do edit. Maybe I think there is like a Magic Studio or a Magic Adjust. Sorry. There's a effect. You could try auto, but I guess we got to go into adjust and then really crank up that brightness. Can't really see my image, so add some brightness. A little too much. The whites and the darks, maybe just bring up those shadows or brighten those shadows. That's fine. I just thought it needed a little bit of, it's kind of a dark image. So, all right, so that's good. And then I can get out of adjust and I can throw on a shadow FX effect. Same thing. I should have paid attention to exactly what I cranked this outline up to, 41. So outline, white, upper left drag, and then crank it up to 41. And looks like I got to move it down a little, so it looks like, well, it's not floating in the air. And Lobo, what happened to you? All right, I'm going down a little rabbit hole with removing the background on this Lobo logo. So you think the world's most popular image editor would let you do it really easily, but it doesn't. So you could try going into edit and trying like Magic Erase, but it doesn't do it easily. So I tried going to Gemini, and it looks like it works, but when you download it and import it, this checkerboard is not transparent. So welcome to the world of transparency and dealing with transparency. So what I had to do is I had to go and search for a different image. I did some searches, and Sonoma State, athletic, logo, Lobo, and just add the word transparent. And I ended up getting to the Instagram image, which is about the same resolution. I dragged it to my desktop. And I went to Adobe Express. So I came into the Adobe apps. I'm logged in with my blue pie piece, my account, and Adobe Express is at the top. You could try just going to new.adobe.express.adobe.com. And then I dragged in the image. Original, top first field is fine. And remove background does not work. So I went to erase and I went to quick selection and clicked in the upper left, did a good job. Upper right, did a good job. So I think the problem was that the white corners are too similar in luminance value or colors to this light blue. So it's difficult to detect an edge, but this dark blue on light blue is a little easier to detect an edge. All right, so I'm gonna hit done. It looks like it's on white, but if you come to click off on the background, go to edit page, color, and click defaults to no fill, the red diagonal line through a white square, you get your checkerboard transparent background. So you could try going to like removebackground.com, or maybe you're better at ChatGPT than I am, but I'm gonna hit download, make sure it's PNG, so it's I wonder why the file size got compressed to 225. Control get info on the image. I guess it's just 225, even though I thought it said in the image that the resolution was 640 by 640. So yeah, I guess it's always good to start with the open image in new tab, and then start with the correct or largest file size. So even though this is kind of grainy, maybe they're upsampling it or using a small image and just increasing the size on the web. All right, so, but this is going to be fine. Download PNG, Untitled 2, didn't give it a name. Finally back to Canva. Get rid of our logo. Bring in the one we like with a transparent background and try to get it aligned. And then option drag a corner. And we're getting close. So let's see, because this is a Google or a web image, I'm going to kind of make these extra big so that when they get shrunk down to thumbnail size, they're still somewhat legible. And one more time, I'm going to come to this image and option drag a corner out just so it's maybe command minus so I can actually see everything on screen. I think that looks good. So at the end of every class, the student always asks, what do I do for credit? So download it, PNG. I'm going to go JPEG just because it doesn't matter for transparent background. And then get the JPEG on your desktop and hit reply. And I will see you next week. Command option.